Max Verstappen's rhythm in Mexico wasn't just fast, it was inhuman, something the data couldn't explain. His Red Bull RB21 started from 5th, surrounded by chaos, and ended on the podium for sheer intelligence and control. The FIA is now analyzing what exactly happened, how Verstappen managed to make 41 laps on medium tires with zero degradation, a number that breaks simulation logic. What they found inside the telemetry left even Red Bull stunned, and the paddock whispering, was this even possible? The Red Bull RB21 had looked fragile all weekend. On Friday, the data was brutal: overheating issues, unpredictable balance, and tire wear that would cripple most race plans. Verstappen's face told the story: no frustration, just calculation. He knew what everyone else didn't, that chaos could be controlled. "We'll find something," he said after qualifying 5th. It wasn't arrogance. It was certainty. As the grid formed on Sunday, the contrast was clear. Norris and Leclerc up front, Hamilton's Ferrari gleaming under the heat haze, and Verstappen sitting behind them, visor down, engine rumbling like a storm waiting to break. Red Bull had gambled everything, starting him on medium tires while everyone else went soft. It was a strategy that broke the rules of logic. At this altitude, the mediums shouldn't last. They shouldn't even survive. But Verstappen isn't built on should. When the lights went out, turn 1 became a minefield. For cars lunging for the same piece of tarmac, all elbows, sparks, and chaos. Norris darted left. Leclerc dived inside. Hamilton squeezed through the middle. Verstappen had nowhere to go except over the curb, full throttle, trusting instinct more than traction. The RB21 skated over the painted runoff, clipped the edge of the grass, and somehow straightened. It was control on a knife's edge. "It's fine," he said calmly over the radio, as if nothing had happened. By lap 2, he'd already taken 4th. But what came next wasn't aggression. It was rhythm, a rhythm so perfect it made even the engineers nervous. Every corner, every throttle input, every micro adjustment felt designed, rehearsed, preordained. Verstappen was playing a different game. The rest of the grid was managing tires, he was composing a race. "His consistency is frightening," said one Red Bull engineer quietly. "He's driving inside the data." By lap 10, the entire field began to split apart, tires overheating, engines gasping. But not Verstappen. His lap times didn't just stay consistent, they improved. The RB21, which had looked wounded on Friday, now looked unstoppable. Ferrari's strategists couldn't explain it. Mercedes couldn't believe it. "He's on another planet," said Croft on Sky Sports. And in that moment, everyone watching understood, they weren't witnessing a good stint. They were watching a driver rewrite what was mechanically possible. The problems began before the lights even went out. On paper, Red Bull shouldn't have been a contender in Mexico. The RB21 had been unpredictable all weekend, unstable through the middle sector, understeering on turn-in, and overheating in the high-altitude air. "We're missing balance, rear stability," Verstappen had said after final practice. The data backed him up: brake temperatures running 20 degrees too hot, tire degradation almost double the target. For most drivers, that's a nightmare. For Max Verstappen, it's an opportunity. Laurent Mekies, Red Bull's performance director, spent the night before the race staring at simulations that didn't make sense. The mediums wouldn't last more than 30 laps. The softs would disintegrate before 20. Every model said the same thing: the car was on the edge of collapse. But Verstappen insisted on starting with the slower compound. "We can make it work," he told the team. "Don't chase pace early. Let them come to us." It sounded insane. But when your driver has rewritten the laws of racing for half a decade, you listen. From the moment the race began, the data confused everyone. The opening laps looked normal: aggressive start, small lockups, tire temps rising. But by lap 10, the RB21's telemetry started showing something impossible. Tire degradation, flat. Core temperature, stable. Brake balance, perfectly aligned. Verstappen wasn't losing grip, he was gaining it. His inputs were smoother than the model predicted. "He's below the delta on every metric," said Mekies, staring at the live feed. He's not supposed to be this consistent. That was the first hint that something extraordinary was happening. At 2,000 meters above sea level, where the thin air starved engines and made cooling nearly impossible, Verstappen had found a way to turn it into an advantage. He was driving like a human algorithm, adjusting the car's entire ecosystem: brakes, energy, tires, airflow through instinct alone. He's balancing the whole system manually, said one Red Bull engineer. We programmed for that. He's feeling it. While others were struggling, Norris overheating his fronts, Leclerc's Ferrari cooking its rears, Verstappen's lap times didn't just hold, they improved. Every time the car wanted to overheat, he lifted a fraction earlier. Every time the tires began to slide, he softened his steering angle by a degree. It was control at the microscopic level, invisible to the naked eye but crystal clear in the numbers. He's predicting the degradation before it happens, said another engineer, shaking his head. He's driving ahead of the data. By lap 20, the anomaly had become undeniable. The RB21 was outperforming its own simulation by 12%, an absurd number in Formula One terms. Even the FIA's telemetry systems flagged the trend. Verstappen's medium tires were supposed to be dying, instead, they were thriving. It's like he's regenerating grip, said a Sky Sports commentator. This isn't tire management, this is mastery. Back at race control, whispers began. Check the pressures, said one FIA engineer. Confirm the deltas. They did. Everything was legal. Everything was normal. And yet, the performance wasn't. The FIA wasn't investigating for wrongdoing, they were investigating to understand how. How a car that had been overheating all weekend was now running cooler, faster, more efficiently than ever. And that's when the paddock began to realize something unsettling. It wasn't the car that was different. It was Verstappen. He wasn't reacting to the RB21, he was reprogramming it. Every input, every adjustment, every lap refined the balance. He was driving it not as a machine, but as an extension of himself. When others wrestled with instability, he was synchronizing with it, finding a rhythm that no computer could replicate. That's the difference, said Makis. We build the car. He completes it. By lap 25, Red Bull's internal models had officially broken. The numbers don't make sense, Makis said quietly into the headset. But whatever he's doing, don't touch it. They didn't. They let Verstappen drive. And the longer he drove, the more surreal the data became. For the rest of the field, the race was about survival. For Verstappen, it was about precision. Every lap was a display of mathematical control, a perfect balance between aggression and restraint. What had started as a mechanical problem was now becoming something else entirely, a phenomenon. By lap 25, Red Bull had stopped trying to explain it. The telemetry didn't lie, but it didn't make sense either. The RB21, a car that had been on the edge of overheating all weekend, was now running cooler than its optimal window. Tire temperatures were within 1 degree across all 4 corners. Hybrid energy distribution was balanced to perfection. The brake system, which had flirted with disaster in practice, now showed complete stability. The engineers stared at the screens in disbelief. He's not following the car, said Laurent Makis quietly. He's leading it. At the heart of it all was Verstappen's extraordinary ability to feel the car's systems in real time. He wasn't guessing what the RB21 needed, he knew. When the rear brakes began to overheat through turns 4 and 5, he shifted bias 2 clicks forward, cooling them through air pressure redistribution. When the energy recovery system ran too hot down the main straight, he altered his throttle phase to extend regeneration by half a second, bringing hybrid temps back in range without losing top speed. No radio message prompted these changes. He did them instinctively. It's like he has a thermal map in his head, said one Red Bull engineer. He's managing 6 systems simultaneously without thinking. This was more than talent, it was technical empathy. Verstappen wasn't just fast, he was mechanically fluent. Each lap was a conversation with the car. Brake later, but smoother. Turn in with a lighter touch. Breathe on the throttle through the apex to stabilize rear rotation. These are inputs that would look ordinary on paper, but when layered with his precision timing, they became transformative. His lap times didn't just stay consistent, they improved as the race wore on. That's not supposed to happen in Mexico, not in this heat, not with this altitude, not with these tires. By lap 30, the FIA's data systems began flagging Verstappen's numbers again. Tire degradation near zero. Hybrid efficiency above baseline. The anomaly was clear but impossible to replicate. Check the ERS cycles, one FIA analyst said. He's harvesting less energy but gaining more deployment. It was true. Verstappen was manipulating the hybrid system through rhythm timing throttle and braking inputs to synchronize energy flow better than the software's algorithm. Essentially, he was outsmarting the car's own intelligence. For Red Bull, it was both mesmerizing and terrifying. He's driving the ERS manually, said a senior systems engineer. No one does that. No one can. But Verstappen could, because for him, the mechanical and the instinctive are one. When he drives, he doesn't compartmentalize systems. He feels the entire machine as a single organism. It's what Adrian Newey calls total control, the rare moment when man and machine merge into one seamless entity. As the race entered its second phase, Verstappen's rhythm became hypnotic. The onboard footage showed what the data couldn't: minimal steering correction, perfect throttle discipline, and almost no tire movement. The RB21 looked serene, as if floating through corners that punished everyone else. Every driver was struggling for traction, their cars sliding on the dusty surface. Verstappen? He was gliding. "You're watching perfection," said David Croft on Sky Sports. "He's not driving, he's balancing equations at 200 miles per hour." By lap 35, the difference was measurable in fear. Other teams began asking the FIA for clarification. Is he underfueling? Is he lifting earlier? Is the hybrid system an override? The FIA checked. Everything was legal. Verstappen was just operating on a level that blurred the line between human intuition and artificial precision. Then came the revelation. Red Bull's data log showed that Verstappen's throttle modulation, the millisecond transitions between full power and release, were matching the ideal pattern used by Red Bull's AI driver simulator. Not close. Identical. "It's mathematically impossible," said Nakis. "He's driving like a computer."